Hello everybody, welcome to another WarThunder pilot video. This is Worcestershire, and today we're taking a look at the Spitfire Mark IIb. This plane is a rank 2 British fighter with a battle rating of 3.7 in arcade. It's an excellent turn fighter, has a very good rate of climb, and is relatively fast. I've entered into an arcade match and I've spent the first few minutes just climbing up to an altitude of about 14,000 feet. I noticed this MB 157 approaching fast from a lower altitude. I quickly roll and dive down towards him as he climbs straight up at me. I avoid the head-on attack and loop around because I want him to try to turn fight me. And with a little help from my flaps, I'm able to turn inside of him and get my guns on him. I go into a gradual climb, look around noticing this F3F on my 6. And I extend away for a little bit while I reload and get some distance between us. The Spitfire Mark IIb has 4 7.7mm machine guns and 2 20mm Hispano cannons. And those cannons only have 120 rounds of ammo, so I find I need to reload between each engagement, which is kind of a pain. But once you get your crews trained up fully, the reload time is pretty quick. I usually try to avoid any head-ons, but in this case it's just an F3F. I managed to crit him before I loop around and get my guns on him. I'm reloading again when I notice this Yak 1 up here with me. I nose down a little bit to get my speed up as he turns towards me. Then do a vertical loop to try to get on his 6. I do recommend that with this plane you reload any chance you get, and I've just made a habit of doing it after every engagement. You'll notice that I occasionally use this plane's flaps when I'm turn fighting, but it's important to note that those are not combat flaps, those are landing flaps, so they will drastically reduce your speed. And with that in mind, you should use them sparingly. As I've mentioned already, this plane is an excellent turn fighter, but it's definitely not the best turn fighter at this VR. And there are some planes that you should avoid a turn fight with, like the Zero, for example. Now I'm just gonna boom and zoom this B-34. Spitfire is okay at boom and zoom, but it's definitely not the best boom and zoomer by far. Another important thing to know about the Spitfire Mark IIb is it doesn't really have any armor protecting the engine. So you definitely want to avoid head-on attacks because if your engine gets hit, you'll eventually lose so much speed that you won't be able to climb or turn fight. I'll just speed up the footage here a little bit while I'm climbing and looking for my next target. So I'm keeping an eye on this MiG to see if he'll climb up at me, and if he doesn't, I'll go after this Beaufort. I don't see any enemy fighters trying to pursue me, so I'll just finish this guy off. Then climb back up some more while I look for more targets. So when I'm looking for somebody to engage in a turn fight with, I usually look for one, maybe two opponents that are a good distance away from their teammates. And there are a couple of reasons for this. One is because while you're turn fighting, you're really kind of staying in one area of the map. And if you stay there for too long, eventually, of course, more and more enemies will show up and you're going to die pretty quick. The second reason is because that whole time that you're turn fighting, you're slowly bleeding speed. And once the Spitfire gets below about 150 miles per hour, climbing and turning become a lot more difficult. I noticed these two dive bombers that are a little bit separated from their teammates, and they appear to be actually coming towards me, shooting in my general direction. So I turn towards them and nose down to pick up some speed. Then I spot this Spitfire, but I'm already committed, so I'm just going to go for it. I avoid their guns, and once I pass them, I start to loop and turn. I'm hoping to either kill or crit this Spitfire with a quick head-on, and luckily I don't sustain any engine damage. I'm periodically lowering and raising my flaps to try to tighten my turning radius. This SPD is passing right in front of me, so I take advantage. I look back to see if any other fighters have joined, and I decide there's enough separation that I can continue to engage these two. Using my flaps again to try to tighten my turn, making sure to only keep them lowered for 1 or 2 seconds at a time. And finally, I'm able to line up the Spitfire Mark I and take him down. And now I should be able to take out this TBD pretty quickly. That last engagement was a pretty good illustration of how good the Spitfire Mark IIb is in a turn fight. I was able to take out 3 planes in a 1v3 and come out the other end with minimal damage. But it could have gone bad pretty easily. It took a while, like a minute and a half, and I did lose quite a bit of speed. Here's an I-16 and a P-36. I decided to go for the P-36 because it looks like it's climbing, and I don't want to give him that energy advantage. I'll fast forward here for a few seconds until I get to the next engagement. So here's a Russian bomber that just spawned in, and I want to kill him, but I need to pay attention to this I-15 that's climbing towards me. So I figure I can just quickly boom and zoom this I-15. So I dive towards him, and at the last minute he pulls straight up at me, and I just get a quick couple of shots off before I zoom away. I managed to crit the bomber before he dives straight down, and I don't want to follow him because the airfield's right there, and there's obviously an I-15 chasing me. So I pick up some speed and slowly climb away from the airfield so I can reposition myself for another attack on the I-15 or the bomber. Obviously, I don't want to turn fight this I-15 because he'll outturn me any day of the week. And this time I managed to kill him as he's diving straight down. And since I built up enough speed during that dive, I'm able to quickly loop around and take out the AR-2. That's pretty much it for this match. If you want to get into turn fighting, the Spitfire Mark IIb is a really good choice. It's a lot of fun. Once you get good at turn fighting, you're going to be addicted. Just remember that the Spitfire Mark IIb doesn't have a whole lot of ammo, so try to get into the habit of reloading between engagements. Avoid head-on attacks as you're likely to sustain damage to your engine, thus drastically reducing your performance. Try to engage in turn fights only when the opponent is separated somewhat from their teammates, and be careful using those flaps because they will slow you down quite a bit. That's it for this video. Thank you all very much for watching. If you enjoyed it, please give this video a like and let me know what you think in the comments. Also, if you'd like me to focus on a particular plane in a future video, let me know. Take it easy, everybody. Have fun and fly safe.